near future, corporate power has surpassed government control. Omni-consumer products has become the architect of law enforcement, military technology, and bioweapons research. What began as progress has become something far more dangerous, something alien. OCP's Special Projects Division uncovered something buried beneath Antarctic ice. Ancient, organic, unknown. An object unlike anything on Earth. A leathery pod sealed for millennia. They called it Specimen A0. When the egg opened, it happened fast. Too fast. A lab technician leaned in, curious, unprotected. That curiosity cost him everything. Pale skin, skeletal fingers, incredible force. It clamped his skull and coiled around his throat. The lab went silent. Hours later, the grip loosened. The entity turned gray, brittle, lifeless. It slid from his face and hit the floor with a wet thud. The technician gasped for air. Vitals stabilized. Monitors flashed green. OCP scientists smiled. They thought the organism was a spent shell. They thought the host had survived. They were wrong. It began with a dull ache, then a white-hot spike behind the ribs. His chest convulsed, the sound of his sternum snapping. Skin stretched, then tore. A spray of blood, a jagged, silver-slick silhouette. A new organism was born. Violent, hungry, perfect. OCP finally had their weapon, but they never had control. It grew, faster than projected, stronger than anticipated, smarter than anything they had prepared for. Within hours, it shed its skin. Within a day, it became something else entirely. A queen. The lab lost containment. Doors sealed automatically. Security protocols initiated. No one got out. Scientists ran. Security fired. Screams echoed through steel corridors. The creatures multiplied. Each victim became another host. Each death fed the hive. Within hours, the facility fell silent. OCP flagged the incident as a biohazard breach. But desperate calls for help from inside told a different story. Total loss of personnel, unidentified hostile organisms, containment failure. The perimeter was already locked down when the first response teams arrived. Floodlights cut through the night, illuminating the OCP research facility like a crime scene no one wanted to approach. Armored vehicles idled. Tactical teams moved with rehearsed precision, but beneath it all, unease. This wasn't a normal operation. This was containment. OCP had assembled the strike force themselves, hand-picked, briefed, armed for something they didn't fully understand. Remember, this is a controlled biohazard environment, the OCP handler said over comms. You are not here to investigate. You are here to contain and retrieve. The men didn't respond. They'd already heard enough. Then, headlights. A single cruiser rolled through the checkpoint. Slow, deliberate. It stopped just short of the command unit. The door opened. He stepped out, metal catching the floodlight, unmoving for a moment, then advancing. The murmur spread through the team. Aw, hell. They sent the Tin Man. Captain Rourke didn't turn at first. His jaw tightened as the heavy footsteps approached behind him. "I thought I made it clear," Rourke said, voice low, controlled. "This is my operation. I am operating under Detroit Police Directive. You retain command. I will assist," Robocop replied, calm, mechanical. "Containment priority has been escalated." Rourke turned, face to face with the machine. "With all due respect," he said, though there was none in his voice, "you're not part of this unit. I am not here to interfere. Think of me as a backup." The team watched. No one moved. "You slow us down," Rourke continued. "You make noise. You draw attention." Robocop turned his head slightly. "I will not impede mission efficiency." Rourke exhaled sharply and looked away. "Fine," he muttered. "You stay behind me. You follow orders. You don't freelance." Robocop said nothing, which somehow felt more disrespectful than arguing. Rourke turned back to his team. The entry team formed at the main doors, weapons raised, breathing steady, or trying to be. Rourke glanced once more over his shoulder. Robocop stood there, silent, unreadable, watching. "On me," Rourke ordered. The doors opened as Rourke entered the security access codes. Darkness swallowed them whole. Inside, something was wrong. The walls weren't right. Not metal. Not anymore. They curved, stretched, as if the building itself had begun to grow. A wet, organic black sheen coated every surface. "Jesus," one of the men whispered. "Unknown substance detected," Robocop said. "Composition, biomechanical resin." Motion. Fast. A shadow dropped from above. A scream tore through the corridor. One of the men vanished upward, dragged into the ventilation shaft before anyone could react. Gunfire erupted. Muzzle flashes lit the walls. Something moved between them, too fast to track. Robocop raised the Auto 9, but his visor was a storm of digital static. "Targeting sensors failure. Thermal signature negative." He fired a 3-round burst at a shadow. A miss. The rounds buried themselves in the resin-coated wall. A man to his right was yanked into the ceiling. Robocop's head snapped to the side, his processors screaming. He wasn't looking for heat anymore. He was rewriting his own tracking logic on the fly. Switching to sonar pulse mapping. Another shadow dropped. This time, Robocop didn't wait for a visual. He tracked the displacement of air, the ripple in the smoke. He fired. A screech of metallic pain echoed as a burst of yellow acid sprayed the floor. Hit. Minimal damage. "They're everywhere!" Rourke screamed. The team was falling, but Robocop was accelerating. His servos began to whine with higher frequency. He was no longer reacting. He was predicting. He saw the way they leapt from the walls and vents, calculated the arc of their tails. He spun 180 degrees, his arms snapping into place with hydraulic precision. A xenomorph mid-leap was caught by a concentrated burst, its chest cavity exploding in a green mist. The halls rang out with the screams of men burned by acid. Target neutralized. But the speed of the hive was too great. For every one he calculated, 3 more bypassed his field of vision. The lights flickered, went red. Shapes moved along the ceiling. along the walls, everywhere. Robocop's visor strobed with a frantic rhythm. He was hitting them now, his accuracy climbing from 12% to 64% to 89%. But the SWAT team didn't have his steel plating. They didn't have his processors. Within seconds, most of the team was gone. Silence rushed in to replace them. Only two remained, Rourke and Robocop. Rourke turned slowly, breathing hard now. Gone, all of them. His grip tightened on his rifle. "This isn't containment," he muttered. "This is a damn slaughter." A metallic screech echoed from the shadows to the right. Robocop's head snapped toward the sound, his internal HUD flaring with high-contrast motion tracking. With hydraulic precision, his torso pivoted. His arm followed, a rigid mechanical extension. The Auto 9 roared, the muzzle flashes illuminating a wall of teeth and obsidian bone as Robocop pinned a creature to the wall, firing at point blank. "Watch the..." Rourke never finished. From the darkness directly above him, a second shadow uncoiled, launching downward with predatory speed. The creature struck Rourke's shoulders, the force slamming him into the ground. Before he could raise his rifle, a whip-like tail coiled around his waist. "No!" Rourke's scream was raw and filled with a terror no training could suppress. Robocop's motors whined in high frequency. His arm moved in a sharp staccato arc, swiveling back toward the commander. The creature yanked Rourke upward in one fluid, violent motion. Rourke's boots kicked uselessly at the air, his fingers clawing at the slick vent frame. For a terrifying microsecond, he locked eyes with Robocop. His eyes were wide, his jaw trembling. "No!" The creature slammed him against the ceiling. The sound of Rourke's body hitting the steel vent was a sickening thud. Robocop's targeting reticle danced across Rourke's chest, searching for a gap, a sliver of the creature's head. Calculating. Target obstructed. No clean shot. Rourke's fingers slipped from the edge of the duct. His scream vanished into the ventilation system, muffled by scuttling limbs. Robocop lowered his weapon. The red strobe of the emergency light reflected off his chrome visor. Officer down. Directive updated. No further losses. Extermination protocol engaged. He stepped forward. Alone. Smoke drifts low along the floor. Emergency lights flicker, struggling to stay alive. Lewis's cruiser skids to a stop outside the building. The front doors close, but the security locks open. She steps out, weapon drawn. She nudges the door open. Dark lobby, flickering lights, bullet casings everywhere. No bodies, no sound. A sudden skittering above her. Lewis looks up. A small, spider-like creature lunges. She quickly dodges back out the door. She stumbles back, slamming against her cruiser as it squeezes through the door. She drives her pistol up. The creature bursts, acid spraying across the pavement, hissing as it burns. It drops, twitches, still. Lewis shoves it away, breathing hard. Her sleeve smokes where droplets hit. She looks down at the bubbling ground, then back to the open doorway. A faint scrape from inside. She doesn't hesitate, steps back, slams the emergency seal. Doors lock. She raises her radio. "Murphy, it's Lewis. I'm outside." Static. Inside, distant through the comms. Gunfire. Lewis calls out over the radio, heavy, measured. "Murphy, do you have a copy?" Lewis turns slightly, eyes still locked on the building. Then his voice, flat, mechanical, steady as ever. Hostile organisms present. Extreme threat level. Lewis exhales slowly, shakes her head once. Her grip tightens on the radio. Robocop advances slowly, each step deliberate. His optics adjust. Zoom, enhance. The walls are constructed. Bodies, human, embedded into the structure like living components. Some still twitch, most don't. A man's face, frozen in terror, stares outward from the wall. Chest cavity, violently ruptured from within. Robocop scans. Thermal, negative cardiac activity. Cause of death, internal trauma. Unknown organism. Below the body, something lies curled on the floor. Small, pale, spider-like. Dead. Its legs twitch faintly. Residual nerve activity. Unknown parasitic organism identified. A brief pause as his HUD processes the encounter. Public health violation recorded. He continues forward and looks up. More bodies. Dozens. All the same. Attached, drained, broken open, incubated. Lewis. The organism reproduces through parasitic implantation. Silence on the other end. His sensors pan slowly across the wall. A woman, barely alive. Eyes fluttering. Her chest moves unnaturally. Something inside, trying to get out. Robocop watches, calculating, timing, probability. It uses human hosts to gestate offspring. The woman's eyes lock onto him, a silent plea. Then, a violent convulsion. Robocop doesn't move, doesn't look away. Her ribs snap outward. Skin tears. A small, violent shape bursts free, screeching. It hits the floor and disappears into the shadows. Lewis gasps over comms. Oh my God. Robocop tracks the movement, but does not pursue. More motion around him, in the walls, in the ceiling, everywhere. Growth rate, exponential. He turns slightly, seeing more of them in the darkness now. Watching, waiting. Each host increases population. Containment failure probability, escalating. Lewis's voice drops, fear creeping in. How bad is it, Murphy? He scans the corridor ahead. Movement everywhere. Too many signatures to track. Too fast. Current projection. Total biosphere collapse within weeks. Silence. Heavy. Jesus. Robocop stands still for one final second, taking it in, understanding the scale. Then, he turns, decisively, weapon ready. Threat level reassessed. Murphy. He begins moving again. Continuing mission. The darkness ahead shifts as something massive waits beyond. He does not panic. He does not retreat. Threat level, extreme, engaging. Each shot, calculated. Each movement, efficient. But for every one he destroys, there are more. Murphy, you reading me? Multiple hostiles, extreme threat level. You need backup. Negative, containment priority. Murphy, you can't do this alone. I have found an ammunition storage unit. I am reloading as we speak. I believe I have found my backup. Robocop pulls a large, dusty sheet off a large figure. Robocop connects his data spike into the access port. Power surges. The machine jolts. Hydraulics twitch. Systems sputter. Thunk. Ed 209's head and cannons lift.
You have 20 seconds to comply.
Lewis. Murphy, pulled a plug. Robocop doesn't move. Detroit police. Clearance level, Omega. A pause. Targeting lasers scan him. Jurisdiction accepted. The cannons lower. Robocop disconnects. Turns. Directive update. Engage and exterminate hostile organisms. Ed 209 pivots. Heavy, deliberate. Directive accepted. A scream echoes from the corridor. Movement floods toward the doorway. Robocop steps out. Ed 209 follows. They descend deeper into the facility down a long, twisting tunnel. The first wave hits. From walls, from the ceiling, from everywhere. Robocop fires. Precise, controlled. Ed 209 unleashes hell. The corridor explodes with gunfire. Walls tear apart. Creatures are shredded mid-leap, acid spraying, hissing as it burns into the floor. Maximum force authorized. Robocop advances through the chaos. Conserve ammunition. Negative. Property damage acceptable. Missiles deploy. The hallway disappears in fire. Walls rupture outward as the blast tears through resin and bone alike. Creatures are vaporized mid-motion, acid spraying, hissing as it eats into the floor. For a moment, silence. They move together now, side by side. A corridor of bodies behind them. Robocop fires in controlled bursts, dropping targets before they close distance. Ed 209 saturates entire sectors, erasing anything that moves. For the first time, the hive hesitates. A skittering wave drops from above. Too many. Ed 209 pivots, fires upward. Acid rains down. It hits. Armor hisses. Metal begins to melt. Structural damage. One leg stutters, then locks. Robocop turns. Unit integrity declining. Ed 209 fires again. Slower now. Tracking lagging. Effective, but degrading. The swarm adapts. They stop rushing head-on. They flank. One lands on Ed 209's back. Another. Then another. Claws dig in. Acid burns deeper. Its leg collapses. The machine drops. Still firing. Robocop moves to cover. Ed 209 continues firing blindly into the swarm. Then, a massive shape moves through the chaos. The swarm parts. The queen emerges. Massive, advancing with purpose. Robocop fires, rounds striking her armored body, but her speed is overwhelming. Acid sprays as she closes the distance, splashing across Robocop's arm, eating through plating as warning systems flare. Ed 209 unloads everything it has, drones exploding from gunfire. But the queen surges forward, her tail lashing out, piercing straight through Ed 209's chassis in a violent strike. The machine convulses, systems failing. Probability of survival, 3%. Robocop calculates in an instant. Opportunity identified. He pivots, targets Ed 209's exposed power core, and fires. The shot lands true. A massive explosion erupts. Fire, shrapnel, and shockwave tearing through the chamber. The ceiling above, already weakened, collapses inward, crashing down onto the Queen and the remains of Ed 209. The structure groans under the impact. Dust and debris flood the air. The Queen thrashes beneath the rubble, trapped but not stopped. Visibility drops. Robocop steps through the smoke, unshaken. His vision cuts through it, targeting, filtering, and finds it. A control terminal, flickering but alive. Isolated, accessible. A path forward. He advances. The screen flickers to life. Harsh red text cutting through the smoke. OCP, fail-safe protocol, active reactor detonation sequence initiated. Additional text scrolls beneath the warning. Liability mitigation protocol engaged. He does not react. He scans. Specimen genome, transmission complete. Destination, OCP. Secure servers. Status, verified. Facility purge, authorized. Robocop processes it instantly. This was never just containment. This was a cover-up. A low alarm begins to sound. Slow, mechanical. Then again, louder. The lights above flicker violently. One bursts, showering sparks across the floor. The ground trembles beneath him. Lewis's voice cuts through static. She can feel the ground shaking from the surface. Murphy, you need to get out of there. Now. Robocop doesn't answer right away. His optics shift, tracking movement beyond the flames. The alien queen. Wounded, burning, but alive. And now moving toward an access tunnel. A path that could lead her to the surface before detonation. Robocop turns back to the terminal. His hand connects. Data spike locking in. Unauthorized access detected. He overrides it. Fast. Precise. Files begin to transfer. Internal logs. Research data. Transmission records. Proof. The alarm increases in tempo. The tremor becomes a violent shake, dust falling from the ceiling. Lewis's data terminal crackles. Murphy, I'm picking something up. What are you sending? Evidence. Behind him, a deep metallic groan. The structure is failing. A section of ceiling collapses in the distance, blocking part of the corridor. The Queen forces through a collapsing bulkhead. Closer now. Murphy, get out of there. Whatever this is, we can expose it. Just fall back. Robocop pauses. His HUD flickers. Directives surfacing. Primary directive. Serve the public trust. Secondary directive. Protect the innocent. Third directive. Uphold the law. The alarm becomes a continuous wail now. The floor cracks beneath his feet. Another directive forms, unwritten but absolute. Protect humanity. A flicker, a memory. Warm light. A kitchen table. Laughter. His son, smiling. His wife, turning toward him. Gone in an instant. The Queen shrieks, closing fast. Murphy, fall back. That's an order. Robocop doesn't move. Another flicker. His wife laughing, her hand in his. A life taken from him. A life others still have. Unable to comply. Data transfer complete. Lewis's system pings. Everything OCP tried to bury, now in her hands. Robocop disconnects, turns, draws his weapon. The Queen towers ahead, framed by fire and collapsing steel. Massive, towering over him. A living wall of muscle and armor, her head scraping the collapsing ceiling. Robocop moves to intercept without hesitation. He fires round after round, and then click. She doesn't slow. A clawed limb slams into him. He's driven through a support column, concrete exploding outward as his body punches through and hits the ground hard. Warning systems flare across his HUD. Structural integrity, critical. Left arm function, severely degraded. The Queen advances. Each step shakes the floor. Closer to the exit, closer to the surface. He doesn't rise immediately. Systems cascade. Functions drop offline. The machine is failing. He pushes himself up, but the man remains. She strikes. A massive forelimb crashes down on him. He catches it. For a moment, he does the impossible. Metal hands locking against something far stronger. Hydraulics scream as his frame absorbs the impact. The floor beneath him fractures. He holds. The Queen shrieks, pressing down hard. Her weight drives him to one knee. Armor buckling. Systems failing. Acid drips from her body, burning into his shoulder, eating through plating. Still, he doesn't give. With a surge of failing power, he drives upward, forcing her back. Just enough. Her tail whips forward, impales him clean through the torso. A violent jolt. Systems erupt in cascading failure. Structural integrity, critical. Mobility failure, imminent. It raises him off the ground, his body hanging from her tail, smoke rising from the wound. She pulls him closer, brings him in, face to face. A mistake. His left hand reaches up, clamps onto her neck, metal fingers digging in, locking tight. He does not let go. She lashes out, jaws clamping down. Teeth grind against his armor, searching for something to break. The inner jaw snaps forward, repeated, violent, but he holds. Even impaled, even failing, he pulls himself closer. Fire spreads around them. The structure begins to give. A flicker, a memory, a warm light, and smiles on Christmas morning. Laughter. He looks at her, in a voice that could only be described as anger. You don't get to take this world. His right arm trembles, systems collapsing. The utility spike deploys. He drives it forward, deep into her neck. Acid erupts, pouring over his arm, melting metal, fusing his grip in place. He doesn't pull back. He can't. He holds her there, a death blow, trapped between his body and the collapsing structure. Containment achieved. The exit still blocked. Lewis breaking over comms. Murphy, please. A pause. Static softens. His voice faint, human. Lewis, thank you for your partnership. It was good to know you. The Queen screams, struggling, bleeding, weakening. The countdown reaches 0. White light, silence. The facility disappears in a violent eruption, a flash swallowed by fire and shockwave. Nothing remains. Sirens rise in the distance, closing in. Lights cut through the smoke. News vans. Cameras. Too late. Lewis stands at the perimeter, data pad in hand. On the screen, the truth. OCP exposed. Her hands tremble, then steady. Voices call out, questions already forming. She doesn't answer. Not yet. She looks back to the burning ruins. They're going to know what happened here, what it cost. She exhales, centers herself, turns toward the cameras. He gave everything to stop it. His name was Alex Murphy.